Jesus' words in today's passage came as a response to a kind of snarky challenge from the Pharisees, who undoubtedly wanted to catch him up in some way. In our church, we use these words as the summary of the law in worship, week in and week out. But we also frequently use them in weddings. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, June 11th, 2022. I'm speaking, of course, about the passage we refer to as the greatest commandment. The Pharisees asked Jesus which of the commandments in the law is the greatest. Jesus cites two, one from Deuteronomy and one from Leviticus. The passage reads, "When the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. 'Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?' He said, 'You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.'" It's a great passage, one that neatly summarizes much of what the entire Bible is all about. Love God, love neighbor. But what, if anything, does it have to do with marriage? Once again, I return to the idea that love, the kind of love that it takes to stay married throughout a long life, takes more than romance. Don't get me wrong, though. A marriage without romance would soon die on the vine. Without some element of passion, marriage can end up like just having a roommate instead of a mate. But for marriage to last, it takes the kind of love the Greeks called agape, love of neighbor. We've seen in earlier readings that this kind of love is about kindness, being willing to forgive, taking on the well-being of another. In this respect, love is as much about a decision as it is about a feeling. It's as much about what we choose to do, how we choose to act, as it is about how we feel about another person. As anyone who's been married for a long time will tell you, we don't always feel that strongly about our partners. But we can choose to treat them in certain ways every day, regardless of how we feel at any given time. And it is in choosing to treat each other with kindness and consideration that we feed the plant that will produce the fruit of passion in due season. Perhaps that's why the commandments Jesus quotes are just that, commandments. Even the grammar used in Greek has the word agape as a verb rather than a noun here, and it's given as an imperative, a command. You shall love the Lord your God. You shall love your neighbor. This goes along with what I've been saying all week. Even when agape love is used as a noun, it is used in a way that makes it clear that it is something active. A couple of thoughts about the command to love. First, as a command, it is something we are capable of doing. This is not a command that sets us up for failure for asking us to do that which we are incapable of. Second, when I counsel couples preparing to marry, I talk them through the traditional vows, pointing out that they're promising to do two things and two things alone: to love and to be faithful. When they're young and in love, this seems easy. But over the long years of marriage, it can prove challenging, especially if they think about love as a feeling. But they're not being asked to promise to feel a certain way each day. They're being asked to behave in certain ways, placing the needs of the other on equal footing to their own, which is, after all, the meaning of the command to love neighbor as self. So, as it turns out, love in marriage is, in a very real sense, no different from love of neighbor or love of fellow believer. Both require us to behave in certain ways towards others. Both ask us to treat others kindly, even when we don't feel like it. And that's the secret of love in marriage. Sometimes we have to act out of love, even when we do not immediately feel the love. My promise to couples I counsel is this, and it will serve as my parting words this week. If we routinely and consistently act out of love, treating the other with kindness, I can promise that the delicious feeling of being in love, passionately in love, will return again and again. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.